What's going on? It's another episode of the Down by Two podcast, brought to you by Yup Beer. Visit yupbeer.com to find a location near you, now available in beer stores across the province, and by Crier Media. Visit Crier Media or crier.co for all things DB2 and sports related content. What's going on? It's your host, Josh Elijah, with my co-host Jesse McKay, aka Birdman.
Yo,
How you doing, buddy? How's
I'm
your week
good.
been?
It's been good, man. I'm trying so hard not to laugh right now.
Bro.
For anyone who doesn't understand why Josh is being so loopy, he's a little sicky boy right now. And
Yo.
This show has the potential to go off the rails real quick.
Check this. I got sick over the weekend, just like Saturday, woke up feeling stuffed up and stuff, and just not feeling good. And so I started taking like cold and sinus, Tylenol, cold and sinus. I've been on that straight, and
That's the good
I guess
stuff.
I think I've been taking too much of it because I woke up in the middle. Bro, check this. I woke up in the middle of the night last night at like 3:00 in the morning, and I had like the spins, and I felt like I was going to get up out of bed and then faint. Like I was feeling so messed up, and I'm like, this doesn't feel fucking normal at all. Why am I waking up out of my sleep to faint? Like this, like it just
For fun.
it felt weird. I'm like, I think I've been taking too much Tylenol, and then I realized that like maybe I'm not actually sick because Amanda was asking me. She's like, "Well, what about allergies?" And I'm like, "I don't have allergies." She's like, "Well, that can change
It can.
anytime.
It
You
can
just
dude.
get allergies." I'm like, "Oh, maybe I just have fucking allergies now,
dude."
And I've been ODing on Tylenol all week,
And allergies. Hate ODing on allergies.
I hate it. It's. I'm like, I'm on an antihistamine. I probably shouldn't be drinking, but like, whatever, right?
No, that'll get you right. You know, the dizziness you have, it'll correct it. You know.
I'm sure. Is that how it works? I'm just gonna start
Yeah.
pissing blood.
Pissing.
So I feel unhinged. I feel wonky. Everything has been a haze. But here we are. We persevere. We live to see another week here at the Down by Two podcast. Last week when we were chatting, we weren't sure if we would still be talking Leafs or not come this week, and turns out we're not. We're not. I hate to do this on the show, but
what's he doing? What's he doing? What is that?
Florida Panthers.
Ew, man.
Smoking on that Maple Leafs pack.
Okay, dude. Okay. Where did you get that hat?
Dusty ass hat in my closet. I have about 60 hats, so I mean that pales in comparison to what you have. So
huge Panthers fan over
here. Big Panthers
literal
guy.
Closet fan. Found the hat in the closet.
Look at that. Yo, you know what? They won me some fucking money over the course of that series. So because once I realized that, you know, it's not right to be able, or it's not wise to be betting on the Leafs, that's when I stopped, and I would start betting.
When has it ever been wise to bet on the Leafs? Honestly,
it hasn't.
That's why I never take Leafs picks ever.
We started hammering the unders and then taking Panthers props on the over, and that seemed to work out very well, which we will get into towards the end of the show. And I don't want to take away from the guests that we have on the show. This is actually going to be the first time with our new format and releasing some of our interviews on YouTube as well, with some of the incredible people that we get to have on the show. We're very fortunate and lucky to be able to have some of these industry professionals and pro athletes, former and current analysts, you name it, on the show. But ramping up for the CFL season, we have former wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, CFL Hall of Famer, and now football analyst on TSN, Milt Stegall, on this show. That's where we're going to cue the air horn, I guess. But yeah, really, really excited to be able to have him on the show. It was a treat to be able to have on as well, wasn't he, Jesse?
Yes, he was, and super nice guy. He was really, really good guy to talk to.
Incredible
And
guy. Like, yeah, it
man,
was.
the accolades that guy has are pretty crazy.
I
Like,
mean, it goes without saying that he goes down right now as the best wide receiver to ever play the game in the CFL.
mm-hmm.
He holds multiple records, quite a decorated resume, if you will, and yeah, all around just an amazing guy to chat with. Hilarious hockey takes, by the way. So keep an eye out for that at the end of the interview. But
Mm-hmm.
um, before we jump into that, and we'll keep things brief off the top here because I really want to dive into it. Let's bury the hatchet here with our thoughts on the Leafs. Specifically, I would love to get your perspective on Dubas's end of season presser and your thoughts, because I mean we've been back and forth. I'm like, Dubas has got to stay if we're going to keep this core together and continue to build on it and blah blah blah. What are your thoughts? Because it definitely left everyone feeling a bit uneasy. And I mean, like, even when you look at certain, analysts and members of the media, like you look at Chris Johnson from Sportsnet, another guy that I'd love to get on this show. He goes out and says, I know a lot of people around the situation, and there's more and more thoughts that this might not be. This might be the last, or might be the GM of the Leafs moving forward next season. That might not be the case. So, that being said, what are your thoughts? What do you think? How did that presser leave you feeling?
I don't know. It was interesting. It was like I feel like a lot of those pressers are very scripted, and they kind of give you the bare bone answers. Like they just tell you what you want to hear, right? Like, oh, we could have done this, or we should have been better, or, we'll come back next year, blah blah blah. But I feel like he really got personal and kind of just like went off the rails from whatever they probably had scripted for him, right?
Yeah,
And it felt like he was really, you know, being honest, right? And
absolutely.
it's kind of refreshing almost. I was like, oh man, this is a real dude. Like, this season probably took a crazy toll on him mentally, and he legitimately just wants to like take a bit of time off and think about it. Like, I believe him when he says like I'm not going to be the GM of another team like X amount of time from now.
Mhm.
um but I guess it just comes down to if wants to bring him back at this point, right? And the puck is in his end of the ice. I don't know where I was going with that.
Yeah.
The ball is in his court,
No,
it
I got
seems.
it. I
So,
got it.
uh, you know
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean?
for
And
sure.
so I would
For
like to
two
see
area.
him back. I'd like to see him back because, man, and like anytime he's made changes, it's always been literally like for the best in mind. It's never been like there's really been no bad moves other than like I don't know, maybe like Thornton, CC, like those kinds of players when he brought them in, but I look at that as like a learning experience for him because he's
Mhm.
so young. He's
Absolutely.
37, and it's like he's listening to the fans while also listening to management above him and looking at the team needs, and he's like it seems like he really takes everything into consideration, and yeah, just makes
Absolutely.
moves accordingly.
And he's made those trades. He's made the trades that the fans have wanted too, and he's
Yeah.
gone out and he's done everything that we've asked of him, really.
Mhm.
Um, and it's you can look at it from that perspective, and you can also look at it with like, well, he knows that he's on the hot seat, so this is his kind of his last season, kind of like Anthopoulos when he was with the Jays a little bit, being like, hey, I'm just going all in on this. This is
Mhm.
it's do or die. So I'm making all the moves, knowing that he might be set up for a potential departure from the organization. So you could look at it from both perspectives. I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. I think the Leafs definitely should retain him. I think we're both on the same page with that. With that being said, that might not be the case, and it definitely the presser left Leafs fans a little uneasy. Um, Dubas, stay.
Dubas
It would be
stay.
nice. Please stay. Stay for a while. Stay for a
Yeah.
drink. That'd be
Stay
good.
for the boys.
For the boys, please. That's it. No more Leafs talks. I'm done. I am. That's it. We give the cup to someone from the south that doesn't even get any fucking snow throughout the year. It's fine. It is. It's so shitty that and then you have Edmonton too fall apart. Not to say that I was cheering for Edmonton, but it's like, man, I guess I'd be happy to see, the Knights. I think that'd be a cool storyline to see the Knights as a very new expansion team go out and get it done. I mean, I personally think I think they stand the best chance. I don't think Dallas quite has what it takes, but well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. I don't know. And then there's Carolina. I think Carolina.
Carolina's sick.
They're so sick. Yeah.
They're
so
sick.
I think I'm thinking of Knights, Knights and Canes, Stanley Cup Finals, which I think would be super entertaining. So,
see, I had Dallas in my finals, for my bracket that I did. I had the Dallas Leafs, and they're hilarious. But
oh yeah,
man, I had Dallas going all the way. I love the goaltending. I think that is a huge factor for winning cup teams. And man, they got the best young goalie in the league at the moment. So I would pick Dallas, but I know what you mean with Vegas. It'd be really cool. And I was low key cheering for Seattle to make it out of the second round because I just feel like that's a cool story. Just because
absolutely.
Vegas out the gate, they were good. They made playoffs, and did they not go?
They made it to the
cup final.
They made
in
it to
their
the cup
year?
in their first year.
Yeah, so Seattle being one of the worst teams last year to actually making a big noise this year.
Oh my god!
I was like, hell yeah! I love to see that.
Toronto needs an expansion team. That's it.
Oh,
yo, that is literally it. We need.
That's the solution.
Oh my god!
There it is. Oh my god!
Hamilton needs a team. It's or Markham or fucking London. I don't give a shit. Toronto needs an expansion team. And then we can go to the finals. We can go to the Stanley Cup Finals. There it is. Solved it. Done.
That's it.
I'll send my address so you can just send the check in the mail, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Solved it.
Idea Easy. Royalties is what you should get.
With that being said, I mean, yeah, all hockey aside, I want to be able to bring this back over to Milt because, man, what an absolute gem, a beautician, if you will. Again, an illustrious career with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and, of course, the Cincinnati Bengals as well. And then now has his name in the CFL Hall of Fame and is a football analyst for TSN. Always great to chat with the team from TSN as well. So without further ado, let's kick it over to Milt Stegall and go ahead and give this a peek. All right, we are back, and we have one heck of a guest for you lined up with our first episode back in a while, and with the CFL season coming up upon us within the next couple of months, this is probably one of the better guests that we could possibly get on the show right now. We have a former wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and NFL or CFL football analyst on TSN. We got Milt Stegall on the show with us here today. Milt, my man, how you doing? Thank you so much for jumping on with us.
No, thanks for having me on. I appreciate that introduction too. It's been so long since I've actually played football, so
yes,
just want to let folks that I did play at one time. So no, thank you very much for the introduction.
you played for a damn minute. You played several seasons, and I just got to say right now, because you've definitely transitioned into the broadcasting career and trying that out as well. Obviously, it's been amazingly successful for you. But I've noticed that you've been doing some work with some of our former guests that we've had on the show, like Davis Sanchez from TSN as well, and our boy Rick Campanelli as well, who's the show favorite as well. What's it like working with some of those homeboys?
Well, it's awesome. I got to work with Rick some around the Super Bowl or whatever, so I really got to know him. He's an awesome individual. He was like the host of our little show. He did a great job. Hopefully I get to work with him again. He was great. But Davis and our relationship is way beyond just what we do on air. We formed a relationship. I call him the little brother I never wanted. That's how close we've got. His family is awesome. When I'm in town in Toronto, I go to his house. His wife feeds me. He comes down here. We hang out with his family. So our relationship is way beyond that. Yeah.
In the beaches, right? He
lives in he's big money. He's big money. Exactly.
Wow. That's intense.
Well, that's Birdman's neighborhood over there. I miss it every day. That used to be my neck of the woods as well. But I moved out to London, Ontario, where dreams go to either live, I guess, if you're a hockey player, or die. On the other hand, so I mean, hey, it's good to have you here. Where are you located now? If you go to visit him in Toronto, where do you live?
I live in Atlanta, Georgia. So it's just when I'm in town to work for TSN, if we have some free time, we hang out, and I'm always over at his house. His two beautiful daughters, wonderful wife. So I always it gets old living in a hotel all the time. So when I get a break, I always go to his house. So
absolutely. I hear you, man. Well, I mean, let's talk about that, because you're not originally from Georgia. You are born and raised in Cincinnati, and we like to start off by finding out a little bit more about where it all started with you. And I mean, like, just from doing our research and whatnot, being born in Cincinnati and then being drafted by Cincinnati is pretty incredible. But give us a story as to how everything else that happened in between that, and how you actually got started in football. Like, were you always going to be a football player, or did it start somewhere else?
No, well, growing up, just like a lot of kids, when I was growing up, did multiple sports. I did everything. I did football, basketball, baseball, ran track. I did a little tennis, volleyball, even a little soccer. I did it all. But then when I got to high school, I specialized in basketball, track, and football. And football was the sport that I excelled in the most, to the point where I was actually able to get a full scholarship to Miami of Ohio. And then from Miami of Ohio, as you just alluded to, I was with the Bengals. So, I mean, it was a crazy time, knowing that I got to spend a decent amount of my football career right there in the state of Ohio. And, basically in Cincinnati, and Oxford is only like an hour and a half. So it was a gift and the curse, though. It was a gift and the curse, but the pros definitely outweighed the cons.
Absolutely. I mean, like just for it to unravel for you like that, and for you to actually get your ticket to the show when it comes to draft day, you gotta walk me through draft day and how special that must be. Like, Jesse and I were just chatting about this, and how awesome it is to be drafted by your hometown team.
Oh yeah, it must have been unreal.
It was unreal, but it was somewhat bittersweet, because what happened was, going into my senior year, and this is when they had 12 rounds, I was projected, because of my junior year, I was projected to be like maybe a fifth or sixth rounder, maybe a fourth if I had a great year. But unfortunately, my senior year offensively, we stunk it up. So I did not get drafted. But there were like 5 teams, including the Bengals, who told me, if you don't get drafted, we're going to call you right away and bring you in as a free agent. So 6 teams called me. My agent and I, we said, you got a real good shot. You got the best shot of making the Bengals as a undrafted free agent. So we took the Bengals opportunity, went in. I remember the opening kickoff of the opening preseason game. I returned it for a touchdown, and as they say, the rest is history.
That is just the ultimate beginning to your career, to be able to return it for a touchdown. That is absolutely insane. So I'm curious, did you think that, because looking back at the Bengals back in those days, just with the records and what have you, did you think that you had more chance to be able to play for the Bengals, or what were some of the other teams that you were potentially looking at when you were going undrafted?
The Bengals, the Falcons, the Jets, the Eagles, Seattle, and I can't remember another team now, but those were
Rams.
The teams.
No Rams.
No Rams. Okay.
That's my team, and I would.
That's your team.
I would have lost.
Is it the St. Louis Rams or the LA Rams? Which one is it? Or just the Rams?
It's the St. Louis Rams. It's the St. Louis Rams. That's when I first started watching football, was '99, and when they won the Super Bowl against the Tennessee Titans. So that's when I first started watching football, was because my dad was really excited about this sport that I never really heard about all that much at that point, because he's losing his mind over the Rams winning the Super Bowl. So that's when I first started watching football in general. But he's a Rams fan back when they were in LA. So So now they're definitely in where they're supposed to be. Obviously, they've returned.
Yes, they are.
But man, it was just the greatest show on turf. That's what got me real hyped about football. But
that was, and speaking of that, there was a good buddy of mine who was actually on that '99 team, a guy named Ron Carpenter, who I grew up with and actually went to college with. He was on that team with the Rams and got him a Super Bowl ring. So.
Same draft class and everything?
Yep.
Oh, man.
Yeah, no, he got red shirted. We're the same year, but he got red shirted, so he was a year behind me. So
okay, so if you got his contact information, you hit me up after and let me know, because maybe we can have you both on the show as well, because I would love.
Oh, without a doubt
about that. Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yes, without a doubt.
But enough networking. We're digressing a little bit here. I mean, just so obviously that's got to be one of your standout moments here. Now, obviously, just doing a little bit of research, just looking at the teams, and you're looking at the AFC Central, and it's the Pittsburgh Steelers that generally run the show. I mean, the Houston Oilers were okay, but yeah, it's how tough was it to be playing in that division? You have the Browns as well. Just shed a little bit of light on those, those seasons that you spent with the Bengals there.
Yeah, it was some tough seasons. In my 3 years, I think we won 14, 15 games. So, I mean, after a while, I couldn't give away my tickets. My family didn't want to come see me anymore. That's how bad we were. But, it was tough. That's Warren Moon days, with the run and shoot, with the Houston Oilers, the old Houston Oilers, Pittsburgh Steelers. They were the only not only class of the conference, but the class of the league. They were tough. And Cleveland, that was our arch rival. And I always talk about, I remember a game in Cleveland where I was returning the kickoff, and that's when the dog pound was the dog pound. That's when they were throwing snowballs with batteries inside of them at the players on the field. So
no way.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. That's when the dog pound is soft now compared to what it was back in the 70s and 80s and late 80s and early 90s when I was playing. So, yeah,
for sure. There's some fan ejections if that happens now. I mean, there was a delay of game with the Bills fans throwing snowballs at the Dolphins this year.
Yes,
so, I can't even imagine if they're loaded with double A's. That's
it was a different rivalry back then. I mean, the fields were horrible. Old school turf or the grass with the baseball fields. But I mean, it was a time in my life. The fact that I actually got an opportunity to play 3 years, not only in the NFL but with my hometown team. Those are memories and events that I'll never forget.
Of course. Now you kind of started answering one of my questions, is just some of the tougher environments that you've had to play. You talked about the dog pound in Cleveland. Anywhere else that's so damn hard to go play in on the road?
Philadelphia was tough. The Philadelphia Eagles, those fans, and that's when they had the horrible field too. But the fans were rough. They were not only rough on us, they were rough on their hometown team too. So that environment was the toughest, maybe. I mean, the Cleveland Brown, the dog pound was tough, but that environment in Philadelphia at what was it called? The Vet, I think, back in the day. I think that's what their stadium was called.
Sure.
It was a tough environment, especially when you're losing, you're getting crushed, it's cold. It's a really tough environment.
Well, I mean, it doesn't seem like things have really changed over in Philadelphia.
No, they haven't.
I mean, they'll boo the Sixers, they'll boo the Eagles. I mean, not anytime recently, but man, yeah, they got to be one of the toughest fans to be able to go play against. I mean, that's crazy. But man, so super cool, because I mean, you had the chance to be able to play in the NFL, and then injuries struck, and now we're looking at different opportunities. What's kind of going through your mind? Because I know there was an opportunity to maybe play for Green Bay,
right?
But then we ended up making a transition, and kind of walk me through how all that transpired and what ultimately led to your decision to move to Canada.
Well, as you mentioned, I was in training camp with Green Bay in '95. My contract was up with the Bengals, and I signed with Green Bay in '95, and going through training camp, going through all the mini camps and off-season workout. I was doing well. First day of training camp, pulled my hamstring. So I'm out 4 weeks, and they had no way to evaluate me. I didn't get to play any preseason games, no training camp. So they had no choice but to release me. So when they released me, I just assumed, because no other NFL teams came calling, I assumed my football career was over. I thought I was going to enter the real world. I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be a middle school math teacher, but then I get a call from my agent letting me know that there's a team in Canada who have my rights. So I'm like, I didn't understand, have my rights. Like, hold on, what's going on here? Yeah. No, you're on their neg list and they want you to come up. So I asked him, like, who is it? He said, Winnipeg. I'm like, what's a Winnipeg? What is that? What is a Winnipeg? So he told me, no, there's Winnipeg and Manitoba. They have your rights and they want you to come up there and play with them. They want to fly you up in a week. So, I thought about it at the time. I was 25. I didn't have any big responsibilities. I was like, let me give it a try. So I went up there. September of 95, and end up playing 14 years, and it was the greatest time of my life. When I say the greatest time of my life, there's nothing else like those 14 years I got to spend in the CFL, but particularly the 14 years I got to spend in Winnipeg, and I wouldn't change it for anything in this world.
I mean, you have one incredibly decorated resume. I mean, when you're looking at All-Star and multiple record holder for touchdowns as well. I mean, like it's crazy, and obviously being in the CFL Hall of Fame, and a lot of CFL fans. I mean, Blue Bomber fans are not like, they will say that you are the best wide receiver of all time to play in the CFL, and that's just
I agree with him.
The modesty, I love it. That's amazing. I mean, like it's so walk me through some of the process, and like that's interesting because I didn't realize that they would actually have the rights. So is that something that happens often with NFL players, the CFL?
Oh, without a doubt, yes. So what happens is scouts, like for Winnipeg, it's a guy named Danny McManus, who's one of the greatest quarterbacks who ever played in the CFL. He's one of the main scouts for the Blue Bombers. So what they do, they go to like NFL training camps, and they look at guys who may be on the bubble, or who may be, let's be honest, not going to be around the NFL for long, and they'll see those guys and they'll put them on the neg list. So what happens is when those guys are released from the NFL, that CFL team has first rights to them. So they call them up and say, hey, we want you to come up to the CFL and play for our team. You know, what do you think about it? And if you want to come to the CFL, we have your first right. So that's how it works. I think you're allowed to put like 25, 30 guys on your neg list. And if those guys want to come to the CFL, that's the first team they have to go to.
Wow, so I didn't even realize that's how that went down. And so was it just sort of like a meet and greet? It was just like, hey, let's go on a first date and see if we're feeling each other out, or did you go up to Winnipeg and you're just like, I don't know about this place? Like, man, I'm Canadian and I don't even know about Winnipeg. Like it is up there.
Well, this is the craziest story of all, right? So I flew in and I got in at like 10, 11 o'clock that morning. Mm-hmm. They didn't give me a physical. I go straight to the facility and I'm practicing that same day. I'm practicing that same day. And like 5 or 6 days later, I'm playing in my first game. I didn't even know all the rules.
Was the season already started at that point?
Oh, yeah. The season already started. Yeah, you know. Yeah,
so it's not a training camp or anything. You're just
they were like maybe 13, 14 games into the season, because I played like the last five games of that year in the playoff game. So yeah, no, they were in full swing. They're going and everything. So, and they just threw me right in the mix right away. It was crazy. It was crazy.
Wow, because I mean, I was looking at some of your stats from that first season, and like you were putting up some crazy numbers, and like that is absolutely bonkers. But then shortly after, or maybe correct my timeline here, but they decided to put you over at slot back. And for our American listeners and people that might not know, slot back is a bit different in CFL. So maybe you can break that down for us, Milt.
Yeah, slot back is a lot different. So the slot back in the CFL, those are the individuals that are running towards the ball. They get the running start. And it took me maybe 15, 16 games to get used to it. It's not an easy transition when you've been in a standstill your entire football career, and all of a sudden they want you to run towards the ball as it's being snapped. So if you look at arena ball, they do it too, but their timing is based on the slot. In the CFL, the timing is based on the snap count. So you have to be able to time it perfectly. Otherwise, you're going to be 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage or offside. So as I just alluded to, it took me about 15 games to get used to it. But once I got used to it, I was able to take full advantage of it, and I was really able to use it towards my benefit.
So, yeah, you were able to take that new change and be able to run with it. And how did it impact your game altogether?
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, because I'm not the fastest guy. I mean, I may look fast, but I knew how to utilize that waggle. I knew how to utilize it as far as going behind the line of scrimmage, and it determined a lot of time if it was going to be man or zone, and just getting that running start and not allowing those DBs to touch me. I mean, it really made for a lot of big plays down the field, because, as I mentioned, I'm getting a running start, and the DB is at a standstill. You get by them, they're not keeping up with me. I don't care how fast you are. So it really worked towards my benefit.
That's incredible. And then obviously all you have to do is look at your stats year in and year out, and you're able to take insane advantage of that and be able to multiple all-star and all the accolades that you have. It's really just an impressive career. Go on YouTube as well and just watch some of your highlight reels. Like it's absolutely insanity. And obviously, again, a lot of CFL fans, Blue Bombers or not, would say that you are the top wide receiver of CFL history, really, which is nothing to scoff at.
And once again, I agree.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, we all do here. Now, obviously, so we were talking about some of the tougher places to play in the NFL, but then here in Canada, Bird and I were talking before the show. And Bird, what were you thinking that might be the tougher places to play? I mean, especially for Winnipeg as well.
Yeah, I mean, like your closest rival, would it have been Regina?
1 through 10. It's Regina 1 through 10.
So going through there must have been pretty crazy. Like for game day, like walk us through that.
Because you guys are neighbors there.
Yeah.
Yes. The Labor Day Classic. And I don't miss playing football, but I miss the atmosphere and everything that comes with the Labor Day Classic. There's nothing like it. And I didn't win too many Labor Day Classics in my career. I think in 14 years I maybe won 3 or 4, but just that atmosphere, those fans. And now they're not as intense because they're not as close as they were in the old stadium. In the old stadium, I mean, they were right here. They were right here on you. And once those Rough Riders got up, it's like, okay, am I playing against 20 people on this field? Because those fans are into it. They're calling you all types of names. But but after the game, it's all respect. They were very respectful. But during the game, I mean, they were on you. You drop a ball or you get burnt, you come to the sideline, you would hear it from those fans. But that atmosphere is something I truly miss about not playing football. There's nothing else like it. The close second is the Hamilton Tiger Cat fans. They were pretty raw too, but there's nothing like those fans in Regina.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. I was going to say, like, did you notice a huge difference between like even West Coast and East Coast fans? Like, what are some of the major differences in some of the other cities?
Well, I mean, as I just mentioned, there's nothing like Regina. Hamilton is close. Toronto, it's like the Hollywood of Canada. So they're not as intense.
So funny.
If it was a playoff game or a big game, they would get into it. And then Edmonton and Calgary and Vancouver. When I was playing, I mean, some of those games in Vancouver, I mean, shucks, the fans could hear all the calls on the field because there were really not many people in the stands. So it's a little bit difficult. And Ottawa was okay.
Towns. What's that? Like the smaller towns are more intense because the fans are just way more into it.
The prairies, Winnipeg and Regina, Saskatchewan. Those are the, and not taking any away from those other cities. Like I say, Hamilton is good, but those are the football cities in Canada. Those are it. Oh,
for sure.
Yep. Well, yeah, you have to look at it as well because they don't have. I mean, when you look at Saskatchewan, you look at Regina, and then you look at Hamilton as well. They don't have any other professional teams whatsoever.
Winnipeg has the Jets now, but the fans still support.
Absolutely. But even when you look at Ottawa as well, like Ottawa has the Red Blacks now.
Right.
But yeah, so it's like some of those teams some of those cities that only have 1 or 2 teams, they're going to be super faithful.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, that is
now,
true.
Obviously, throughout your entire career, do you have any stories to be able to share with us? I mean, there's got to be some players. There's got to be some players that, sure. Yes. We know you're the best wide receiver of all time in the CFL, but there's got to be some players that lock you down all the time where you're just like, oh man, I got to face this guy again. And he's always got my number.
Probably not, but I'll come up with someone. No, I'm just joking.
Love the modesty, man. Love it.
No, there was a guy, and I didn't start playing against him until later on in my career, and we actually worked out in the off season together. But there's a guy, I don't know if you remember, a guy named Corey Banks. Corey Banks and Dante Marsh. I didn't go much against Dante because he was a cornerback, but Corey Banks and Dante Marsh, they moved to Atlanta. They don't live here anymore, but we started working out together. But Corey Banks was maybe during his time period when he's at the top of his game, he was the best DB in the league. He started off in Ottawa. He finished up in BC. And when him and Dante Marsh were in BC together, They were maybe the best tandem, cornerback, halfback tandem in the CFL at the time. They were really tough. But Corey, he wasn't a big guy, wasn't a fast guy, but he just knew the game. His knowledge of the game and how he was able to read routes. I had to come with my best game to have some success with him. And I had some, and there were some games where I didn't, but he was a tough, smart player, and he would give me fits a lot. There's another guy who I played against early in my career, Gerald Vaughn, who was like 6'2", 225, ran a 4.3 and benched like 50 million pounds. He was tough because he was so big and strong. So those two guys were maybe the two toughest guys I went against in my career.
I mean, and again, you've had such a long storied career as well. And just looking at everything that you've been able to accomplish, just one of the things is that, and I hate to bring it up, but there wasn't that coveted Grey Cup championship, even though you've been to the Grey Cup. And we look at towards, the latter half of your career as well. And there were, multiple rumors and almost there was at points where you were almost certain that you were going to retire. Was that just to be able to make sure that you still had enough left in the tank to be able to chase that chip? Which you know what? I totally respect the hell out of you for being able to stick with one organization your entire career and be able to want to bring a Grey Cup over to Winnipeg with the Blue Bombers there. But walk us through some of your decisions when it came towards the end of your career. And, you still ended up playing an extra 3 or 4 seasons after you thought that you might retire. So,
right. Yeah.
Well, that mentality.
Yeah, that was all based around family. It was all based around family. My oldest son, who's about to graduate from high school now, he was born in 2004. So that's when my wife and I, because I was up here while they were, I was up in Winnipeg while they were down here. So that's when we started saying, okay, it's time to wrap this up soon. So, then after 2007, going into the 2007 year, we were, as I said all the time, we were 99% sure that we were going to retire, regardless of what happened. I mean, it would have been a perfect scenario if we would have won the Grey Cup that year. But even when I didn't win the Grey Cup, we were going to retire. So I told Winnipeg, I'm going to retire. They was like, well, no, let's think about it. You should think about it, blah, blah, blah. Then I went to my wife and was like, honey, I'm going to retire.
About it.
I'm thinking about it. She was like, well, no, if you think you have another year, let's give it another year. So we gave her another year. She got pregnant with our youngest son, and we had our youngest son in Winnipeg. We thought, regardless of what happened, that was going to be it for me. And then in that off season, I had to have microfracture surgery. And if I knew that I wasn't going to be up to par and I was going to miss the first 6 or 7 games, I would have never came back. But, we had already committed to it. They had already got the ball rolling. They, used me in marketing campaign. So that was the only reason I played. But otherwise, because of my knee surgery, and I was maybe 50, 60% of my old self because of that knee surgery, I wouldn't have came back and played. But, it worked out well. I had an opportunity to do some things on the field and off the field. So everything worked out as planned.
Absolutely, man. I mean, I totally respect that. And, at the end of the day, you put together such a storied career. And, obviously it earned yourself a ticket to the CFL Hall of Fame. And maybe just walk us through some of the emotions that you went through, after, all those seasons in the CFL as well. And, what it meant to you to be able to get inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Oh, it meant a lot. I never played the game for accolades or anything like that. I played it because, it was a gift from God to allow me to do that. So my only goal was to go out there and play as hard as I can. Never say that my only goal was to say I can look in the mirror and say I did all I can do. But when I got inducted to that Hall of Fame, that was special. There were a lot of individuals who were definitely responsible for that. It wasn't all me. I played with a bunch of quarterbacks, with the 2 quarterbacks who meant more to me than anyone else I ever played football with, Kahari Jones and Kevin Glenn. Those guys sacrificed a lot for me to go out there and do it. And then more so than them was my family, my parents, my brothers and sisters, and of course my wife and my 2 sons. So it was a special moment, 2012. And it even made it even more special was the fact that it was in Winnipeg. And I don't know if that was the plan or whatever, but the fact that I got inducted into the place where I played, there was nothing else like that. It was truly special.
I mean, that's just an incredible way to bookend, being drafted in your hometown into the NFL and then getting inducted to the Hall of Fame with the team that drafted you. And it's just really a picture perfect ending.
Yes. It was definitely picture perfect. Cherry on the top. And I'm still benefiting from the fact that I played in Winnipeg for 14 years and I've been retired for 15 years. So it was a blessing what I was able to do in Winnipeg. Yeah.
No, that's amazing. I feel like we just got a little bit of a director's cut of what your speech might have been like when you got called up to the podium there. So,
pretty much. Pretty much.
That's incredible. Well, as we're heading into the CFL season coming up here, I'd like to get your takes on not only some CFL storylines and things to watch out for, but even in the NFL as well, and get some of your takes as we head into the season.
Yeah, well, we'll start with the CFL. I mean, of course, the main story, I think, are the Argonauts and what are they going to be able to do being the Grey Cup champion and your quarterback not coming back, going to the USFL. And now they're looking like they're going to go with Jim's nephew, Chad Kelly, as their starting quarterback. I love his confidence. I think the most important trait to being successful is confidence. But how is he going to be on the field? We saw pads and bits of him, of course. He stepped in the Grey Cup and had a great game, but it's different when you're expected to go out there week in and week out and be the guy. So that's the story. And of course, Winnipeg, they're the favorites again. They brought mostly all their main guys back, so they're the favorites. So I think I want to leave on the CFL. I think the surprise is going to be the Edmonton Elks. They're going to be the surprise. Yeah. Chris Jones and G. Roy Simon, they fielded a team last year where they were just trying to figure out things. But now they're going to be the surprise of the CFL. They're going to make some heads move. And of course, NFL, you got Aaron Rodgers, who's hogging up all the media once again.
Fresh off the grill now. We got Rodgers in New York. That's pretty nuts, man.
He's the talk of the town.
For not a lot. I mean, when you look at what the Green Bay Packers had to give up and just a couple pick swaps even, and then just the draft package that they ended up getting or the pick package. It's really, why did it take so long?
Yeah, exactly. So the pressure's on because he's expected to come out and lead this team to the Super Bowl. It's Super Bowl or bust because you see what LA Rams, what they were able to do when they got their guy, Tampa Bay, when they got their guy. So they're expecting the same thing out of Rodgers. But we remember the last Green Bay Packer quarterback that when they left Green Bay and went to the Jets, what he did. So hopefully Rodgers can do a little bit better than that. Let's hope. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you also have to look at the dynamic between that division now, and you also have to get past the Bills. So not only do you think this puts a lot of pressure on the Bills to be able to shut down the Jets now that Rodgers in their division?
Oh, without a doubt. They're expected to do big things. It was a letdown for them last year that they didn't get to the Super Bowl. So it's Super Bowl or bust for them also. Those fans, they're behind them 100%, but they're saying, okay, we have everything in place. It's time to get to that Super Bowl, or do we need to make some changes? So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in that division. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough in the AFC, period. You think of those quarterbacks in the AFC, in the NFC too, but I think the best quarterbacks right now are in the AFC with Mahomes. And we don't know what's going to happen in Baltimore, but it's some tough quarterbacks in the AFC.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Definitely agree. One more time, this is Milt Stegall on the Down by Two podcast, brought to you by Crier Media and Yup Beer. Now, obviously, just before you go, we do our research here on Down by Two and make sure that we, check out as much information as we can before bringing on one of our guests, because we want to make sure we do our homework. And I want to say, I found a clip online that was one of the more interesting takes that I've seen in quite some time. Why don't we go ahead and take a look at this here?
Thanks, Double D. Milt Stegall is one of the greatest players in Canadian Football League history. No doubt about it. But his fan base north of the border might take a hit after Canadians hear what Milt thinks about another sport that's fairly popular in our country.
Listen to what I'm about to say. Ready? Let me know when you're ready. Go ahead. Hockey is not a sport. It's not a real sport. And I classify it in the same category as darts or bowling or curling or five-pin. Hockey is not a sport. I'll challenge any hockey player to a duel. If you want to fight, we can fight. We can fight. You can come on the football. I've never been on the ice before, but ice skates. That's what the figure skaters. You wear the same outfit as a figure skater. So hockey is not a real sport. I may get kicked out of Canada for this, but it doesn't matter. Hockey is not a real sport. Who is that? Wayne Gretzky? Is that the guy's name? Is that the most famous hockey? Hockey is not playing hockey in Phoenix. What the heck? That's like saying I'm almost pregnant. It doesn't exist. It's not a real sport. Sorry, Mr. Canada.
Mr. Canada.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
everything about that is incredible.
Oh man.
You know, that is like that's been one of the hottest takes that we've had on the show, period. Do you still stand with your take? Do you have a newfound respect now for hockey?
Oh, without a doubt, a newfound respect.
I'll give you the chance to clear your conscience here a little bit.
Yes, and you know what? After that, it was a tough maybe 3 or 4 months because my own fans in Winnipeg, they were on me pretty hard. And no, I take it all back. That was actually my twin brother Matt Stegall. That wasn't even me. So no.
Yeah, no.
You had to bring that up. Thanks a lot.
It wasn't me. It was probably some Blue Bomber fan that went and dug up the archives and posted it like 15 years ago. That's hilarious. One more time, Milt Stegall from the Cincinnati Bengals and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and TSN football analyst as well. Thank you so much for joining us on the show, and definitely would love to have you back as well. And stay in touch. And thanks again for jumping on.
No, thanks for having me on. Love what you guys doing. Take care.
Absolutely. Cheers. Yeah, there it is. That's Milt Stegall. Did you like that? He was a great guy to talk to. It was fantastic, and really, really hope to have him back on the show. And we'll have him on closer towards the start of the NFL season as well. Moving forward, we're going to end off the show here with a couple picks. Now, let me give you a little bit of a backstory over the last couple of weeks. We've only gotten one wrong, and Jesse, which one was that we got wrong?
Mine.
Maple Leafs money line. So, with that being said, we're going to bring in our picks for this week for Friday. May what day is it? I don't even know anymore. But here it is. DB2 Bets brought to you by our boys over at BetStamp. Visit betstamp.app for all the different sports books that are available with the best lines across the market, and follow along with our picks as well. We got a lot. Like I said, I'm feeling loopy. I'm feeling unhinged. We got 6 picks for you because fuck it.
It's our show.
It's our show. We can do what we want.
Whatever.
And we like them all. We like them all, and we win. So how about that? I bet you fucking take that, put it in your pipe, and smoke it. Because we've been smoking on that overpack. Starting off with the over 5.5 goals. Look how fucking stupid I am. I didn't even say what game. We're talking about the.
That's amazing.
We're
all of them
over 5.5 points, even in the NBA. We're talking about the Vegas Knights and the Dallas Cowboys. No, the Dallas Stars. It's the Dallas Stars. Dallas Stars and Vegas Knights. Look, 5.5 goals, very attainable, right? 5.5 hit a lot in the Vegas and Edmonton series, and then all games but Game 7 for the Kraken and Stars were over 5.5 as well. So even though Ottinger, and then I guess depending on whether or not they're going with Hill or Quick, or if Brossoit or whatever his name is, Boussoit, is behind the net, they're going to let in goals. 5.5. Like, there's too many talented scorers on the ice. And with that being said, we're also going to go. By the way, that's with Unibet, which has the best lines at -102. So go over on the goals 5.5, because our boy over here, Roope Hintz, or what do you call him? What's your name for him?
Poopy shits.
Poopy.
Yeah, I called him that because I had him in fantasy and he stunk the first half of the year.
Oh yeah, you dropped him and I picked him up. And I wheeled him for JT Miller. Fuck, I'm good. But Poopy stints. Anytime points at -175. What was your stat that you threw out there? He's the leading.
I think he's the leading scorer in the playoffs.
Oh, scorer! Overall. I thought you were talking points, but yeah, okay.
I think both.
That's
Well,
so
maybe aside from McDavid and Dry, but
yeah.
He's
at
up
minus
there,
at -175 for just 8 points anytime. You gotta like that, and DraftKings has the best odds over there. It's a great pick. I like that.
Not bad.
But if you don't want poopy stints or poopy shits, you can go with our boy Joe Pavelski, anytime point, minus 167. And that's available on Botano. Love that sports book. Love Botano. Yeah, I feel like this is I'm surprised that it's only at a point, and that it's at minus 167. So we condone both of these.
Both great picks.
You can hit them both. You can pick one or the other. This one has a bit better value at minus 167. Again, Botano, always having. They seem to be at the top of the board when it comes to odds. So I'm going to go Joe, anytime point, minus 167, available on Botano. Switching over to the NBA.
Over 5.5.
Over 5.5. Goals. Over 5.5 goals. No, man, I'm just going to stick with the exact same ticket that I put together last night for game one, where the Miami Heat ended up taking that in Boston. Miami plus 9.5. All of these hit too. So again, go on the BetStamp app, find DB2, and you can check our receipts because we fucking got them.
The fellas are red hot right now.
Man, this has got to be one of the greatest 8 seeds ever.
I know.
How crazy is that?
That's insane. I mean, I was talking about us personally with our bet.
Oh yeah. Oh, we are red hot too, but the Heat
Miami
are
also.
well.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. This is insane, man. I'm like, I love this kind of stuff. Like just seeing how far they can go, man. And they've always been that kind of team where 8th seed, 1st seed, it doesn't matter. As soon as playoffs hit, those guys turn into different players, man. It's so cool.
And the disrespect with this spread at plus 9.5, I thought that was I laughed at that yesterday and I took it easily, and they outright won. And so that they're not going to give them that same respect and like at least close the line a little bit for the Friday game, still plus 9.5, get fucked. So I'm going to take them. Plus 9.5, minus 115. You figure out how to shut down. I mean, even if Tatum goes off for 30, which he did last night, that was also a very good overpick on the points. But they were able to hold Jaylen Brown to 22. And then you're looking at Malcolm Brogdon as your next scorer.
Yeah, who do they really have after that?
I mean, they have a bunch of amazing role players, but I don't know. They were able to shut things down. Bam was going. Kyle, I mean, I'm rooting for Kyle, man. Obviously, I love to see him get a second ring. Sucks that it's not with us, obviously, but man, I'm rooting for those boys. I mean, I would like to see Jimmy Butler get a ring this year. A very real possibility that it's going to be a bubble rematch, which we'll be able to get into next episode as well, as we're
that would be very, very cool.
A little bit more ball next episode. We've been pretty Chell heavy, so so Jimmy Butler.
Most books have them at plus 9 right now, so if you can get that 9.5, that is definitely better.
There's a few books that are actually at plus 8.5. So our boys over at BetMGM have them at plus 9.5. What were we saying? BetMGM. BetMGM. The boys over there have them at minus 115. And speaking of him, Butler, we're gonna take Jimmy Butler over 28.5 points. The guy goes for 30 whenever he fucking feels like it. So let's take that. Why not? Minus 105. Great. I only went up 1 point from yesterday. So I'll continue to take that disrespect too. Why not? Bet 365.
Yeah. I mean,
28.5 points.
Again, it's like after him, who do you got? Someone's got to score points, right? Like Jimmy's looking for the ball every possession. So you take that all day.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, easily. Yeah, Jimmy Butler over 28.5 points, minus 105, bet 365. Look, I mean, I expect the Celtics to come back and win the next game, but it doesn't seem like anybody has an answer really for Jimmy, except for the Knickerbockers that were able to hold
the Ricks,
the New York Ricks, the Slicks. Oh god, that doesn't even make any sense, Don. The Ricks, they were able to hold him at bay, but Jimmy can go off for 30 whenever he feels like it. He's just a monster this postseason. So I'm gonna take him on the points, minus 105, bet 365. And then leading over to our final pick, we got Malcolm Brogdon under 3.5, -1, under 3.5 assists. Look at that.
He done it again.
He's just under 3.5. Yeah, he's under 3.5 inches. Is that dick length? I don't fucking know. It's just 3.5.
Yeah. It's whatever you want it to be.
He's
really.
feeling shy game 2, so his PP shrivels up. 3.5 -165 available on PointsBet. That's for the assists. Look, the guy doesn't get much more than 2. Sometimes he'll get 4, but I think he's only hit that 6 times throughout the playoffs so far.
He got 1 in game 1, 1 assist.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So they're expecting him to shoot more and to be more to go out and get more buckets as opposed to facilitate.
Right.
I think they're looking to Marcus Smart and Derek White a little bit more for that. So yeah, when it comes to Malcolm Brogdon, under 3.5, I mean -165. That's obviously you see where it's leaning, and that's over on PointsBet as well. When the Heat knock off the Celtics, because I'm rooting for them all the way.
Wow.
When the Heat,
he said it.
When
you heard
they
it
knock
here.
off the Celtics in 6, I just feel like it's gonna. I feel like it's redemption for Jimmy from last year as well, right? So
whoa, okay.
So I feel like he's got a mission here, and he's going back to the finals. When they do, who is the player from the Celtics that Dwight Howard is going to try and recruit to Taiwan? Who is going to be knee-howing in no time? Who's the player that's going to be going knee-how?
Oh man, is Tristan?
I love
Thompson
that. I love
that on that squad.
No, he's on the Lakers.
Wait, he's on the Lakers. Okay. I knew he was still in the playoffs, but I was like, might be him. I don't know, man. Who's a good candidate for you?
Malcolm Brogdon?
Yeah.
The 6th man of the year?
Yeah, Dwight goes, don't worry, you can pass me the ball. I'll make sure I look after you over here.
Oh man. Yeah, it could be Peyton Pritchard. It could be Al Horford. Let's be real.
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe that. I can't believe his knees are still together. They got to be like peanut brittle at this point. Like, isn't he like 40? Like, what are you doing, dude?
Oh my God,
he's an incredible basketball player. I don't know why I'm shitting on him right now. He's great.
I mean, he was great.
Now,
yeah.
All right, that's enough. I gotta go. I gotta get some sleep. I gotta lie down. I gotta put a cold towel over my head or something.
I'm gonna lay off the NyQuil.
I'm losing my mind. I now know it's not a cold. Don't take any more Tylenol, cold and sinus. No more NyQuil. Just take some antihistamine.
Yeah, or go get some shots, man.
Yeah, maybe I'll just do that.
That's what I did. I randomly. I know what I was allergic to. I randomly got a grass allergy.
Oh, you mean like actual allergy shots?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I thought you were talking some tequila or something.
Oh. I mean, that might solve your problems. Well, it'll at least put you to bed. That's
yeah. Put me to bed. No more cold sweats. All right, we'll be back next week. We have great special guests coming in next week as well. We're gonna keep firing off. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Good night. Love you all. Bye.